Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra with Sam Getzinger. I'm Dom Izzo. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30 to get you ready for, at least this weekend, Bison football and basketball. We'll chat about the Bison men have their exhibition opener coming up tomorrow night against the University of Minnesota. Sam, the Bison are 6-0. We're halfway through the season. We'll talk about Indiana State here in a moment, but you can nitpick all you want at a 6-0 team. They are unbeaten. Your evaluation of the first 6 games of the year.
This is a complete football team. I think if you give them a grade throughout the first portion of the year, it's A+. If you want to throw another plus on that, I think that's fine too. It's a really good football team. And I think Jeff mentioned it during the video blog on Monday. They're getting it done in all 3 phases. Offense is one of the best in the country. Defense is one of the best in the country. Special teams has been really impressive this year. It's hard to find a team that can slow these guys down. I'll be really curious to see if somebody does this year.
If there's anything that surprised you so far when we went through fall camp and we're talking about different positions, anything that stood out to you through the first half of the season? Maybe the tight ends. We were curious on who that deep threat was going to be. That was the big question. Well, that's answered. Reese Kessel's the guy on that. It's surprising now the depth and how are they going to filter that in through the next couple of weeks with Carson Williams. We'll see where he's at. Finn Diggins, we'll see where he's at. Sounds like there's maybe some okay news on that. Maybe he'll be back later on. Not nearly as bad. I mean, we had the shot during the game on Saturday. He's there with his mom and his dad and crying his eyes out, thinking that his career is over, and maybe it's not.
That's never a good sign when you see parents down there for a player's future, especially for his final season. But it sounds like there's potential maybe towards the postseason that he could be back, which is good news. And I think that's been the surprising part. The happy surprise has been Reese Kessel, obviously, with what he's done offensively and the production that he's had over the first 6 games of the year. Besides that, I mean, no, we kind of had a feeling that they were going to be a really good defensive team. We knew they were going to be a good offensive team. Cole,
I don't know about that good offensively.
I suppose,
to me, I don't know about you. To me, offensively, they have blown the doors off of what I thought they could do.
We knew they were going to have one of, if not the best receiving core in the country. I had a feeling Barika was going to have an okay year. Obviously, we had our questions about Cole. I think he answered those questions midway through, the first 2 games of the year. It's been really good. And I guess now that I think about it, that probably is the one spot there, the offense. But overall, really good team.
All right, a couple of injury updates out of Tim Policic's press conference yesterday. Sam already mentioned what's up with Finn Diggins and Carson Williams, who looks like that's a game-time decision. He missed the game on Saturday against Southern Illinois with a foot injury. He missed quite a bit of camp with that. We did not see Carson out there until maybe the last week and a half of fall camp.
No, he's only played in a couple of games throughout the regular season this year, and it was interesting to see him in street clothes last week, and hopefully that recovers nicely, and they can build some more depth in that tight end room. And he's a good player, a good blocking player,
and he's actually had a couple of nice receptions he did against Illinois State, because that leaves Reese Kessel, Caden Zenzen is probably the top 2 tight ends. I'd imagine Truman Weremeyer could get flexed out there if they wanted to do that. Your guy Luke Kocat probably in the mix as well at that spot.
Luke Kokat's a kind of a dual threat there at the fullback position and also at tight end as well. And Truman Weremeyer, he can catch the ball too. He had a reception last week, and I think that's a pretty good option. So there are guys that you can plug in there, but missing Finn and missing Carson, that stings.
2 other injury updates of note. Jalen Archibald, who's a freshman transfer, if that makes sense. He came in for the Air Force Prep Academy, who's been out, is back practicing. We could see him play. He's a safety, another corner, another defensive back. The one that really got my attention was the news that Alex Elliott is about a week or 2 out from practicing. For people that don't know, that's the transfer from Minnesota at the linebacker spot. The Bison were super high on him. Only got in about 3 practices of fall camp and then injured his shoulder. Thought it was basically a broken shoulder. Well, it's healed to the point where he may actually play this season.
I know he said that news, and I think everybody's jaw kind of dropped a little bit to see the progress that he's made so far this year. He's a guy that we talked to him when he announced his decision to transfer from the U of M to NDSU. Okay, this guy is made out of solid brick.
He's an impressive young man.
He's a big guy. He comes from a really good high school football program out of Hutchinson. I think if he were healthy going into the year, he probably would have been on my picks to click.
Absolutely.
I feel like he would have been in that spot as kind of that second group in the linebacker core there. that's going to be huge if they can get him back at some point this season and build some more depth there. But he's a specimen physically, and that'd be fun to see him play.
One other update. The suspension was upheld on Darius Gibbons on the targeting play. The NDSU appealed it, came back that it was targeting, so he will have to miss the first half of the game against Indiana State. Likely Ryan Jones will slide in next to Jalen Crumbly on the back end. How big a deal is that the Bison are going to be without their starting strong safety?
Well, Tim alluded to it yesterday during the press conference, and I would agree. They've done a good job of building depth at that safety position, something that they probably didn't have last year. Of course, they were ravaged by injuries last year, so it was a lot more than just one guy. I think it's good on that point, and it's only a half. It's not like it's a full game, and not to put down Indiana State or anything, but at least it's this game and not South Dakota State, if you will. I think it'd be good. One thing I noticed during the game too, and Tim mentioned it as well, he was very emotional on the sideline to even miss the second half of the SIU game. And was he going to play that much in the second half?
Well, the way the game was trending, probably not.
Probably not, but he was emotional. That means he cares, and it was a bang-bang play, no doubt about that. The ruling is what the ruling is, and I think they'll be just fine for that first half.
I look at it as maybe get Will Stiles some more reps as well.
Absolutely.
There's another guy who's excelled on special teams out of that safety spot, but you mentioned that at this time last year, they were starting to figure it out that Sam Young had moved spots, Givens and Crumbly were playing, and obviously the whole Cole Wisniewski drama was happening in the background. It's a much different deal surrounding
a lot
that
more.
group right now.
I think Will Stile is a guy that could definitely pop in there and be just fine, given his physicality on special teams this year. They're going to be just fine at that spot.
All right, let's talk quarterback. We've gone about 5 minutes. We haven't talked about quarterbacks, so we got to. This Cole Payton stats over the last 3 games, just crazy, Sam. He has 8 touchdown passes, 9 incomplete passes over the last 3 games. That's video game numbers right now.
It's unreal to see what he's been doing on the football field, not just in those 3 games, but all throughout the season. I was looking at some of the numbers this morning in kind of the national statistics, and Cole leads the country in passing efficiency, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know exactly what that statistical category is made up of, but he's got a 223 rating. The next closest guy is 196. I mean, that's a mile separation, and that other quarterbacks from Alabama State. That's pretty good, and we're seeing some of his runs here as well. Those have been jaw-dropping. That 41-yarder that he had against SIU where he bounced a couple of defenders off of each other, burnt a guy around the edge who had the angle on him, had him dead to rights, and somehow overran him. It's been really impressive. And those incompletions, I think, it's not like he's airmailing guys.
Well, one was a Bryce Lance drop.
Exactly.
Which doesn't happen ever,
it doesn't happen all the time. There's been a couple of drops. There's been a couple that I've noticed this year where a screenplay's not there and he makes a smart move to throw it into the dirt, which is, I mean, that's veteran quarterback stuff right there. So his decision-making has been, up there with top-tier guys. Dare I say he's the Daniel Jones of North Dakota State. I will put that out there.
10 minutes in, we got a Colts reference. Now, he's considered the front runner for the Peyton. Is it preposterous to ask if Bryce Lance should be in the Peyton conversation?
It's hard to say no to that, right? What he's done over the last 4 games has been really impressive. Now, granted, he came out of the gates this year, and it's not like he was setting the world on fire. He only had 34 yards against the Citadel, 46 yards against Tennessee State, but he's got 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games receiving, had a rushing touchdown last week as well. It's going to be really hard for him to beat the numbers that he had last year. This group has more depth. There's more options for Cole to go to. But 461 and 4 touchdowns right now and a rushing touchdown, that's not bad. And if he keeps that pace going throughout the rest of the year, I mean, it's hard not to put him on that list.
And not counting, right, I mean, postseason stats don't count, but the way the voters work, full disclosure, I am a voter on this. Stats are all that matter.
It's a statistical award.
And that's especially wide receiver, because somebody's got to get you the ball. Would it surprise me if he's in the top 5? No. Top 3 to get to Nashville, that would be stunning to have 2 guys from the same team.
I would agree with that. And I think the one thing, if we're talking about stats here with Bryce Lance, he hasn't had played in the second quarter, really, or second half, I should say, really at all this year. So
outside of the Illinois State game is pretty much it.
I mean, he put up, 160 yards against SEMO, and most of that was in the first half. He had 2 touchdowns in the first half last week against SIU. I think that's going to be the one downfall because, as you mentioned, these voters aren't watching every week and seeing the jaw-dropping plays that he's making.
All right, Indiana State is next up. The Sycamores are 2-4. Win over McKendree, a Division II school. They beat the Dragons actually last year. And Eastern Illinois, they played Indiana.
Yeah.
Last I checked, Indiana's all right.
Not bad.
They faced Montana on the road. Last time I checked, Montana's pretty good. They gave South Dakota all they wanted last week. The Coyotes ended up pulling away to win 19-14. I'm intrigued. We're going to probably see a redshirt freshman at quarterback for Indiana State this week, Sam. I don't know what else to expect out of the Sycamores.
I mean, the cards aren't really stacked in their favor for this game going up against North Dakota State. Granted, I mean, that win against South Dakota is big on their home turf. Applaud them for that. I look at the numbers defensively, and you mentioned those the teams that they've played,
which are going to be lopsided with those.
I mean, they gave up 73 to Indiana. Yeah. Okay, that's a top 3 team in all of the country. Yep. Gave up 63 to Montana, and they gave up 55 to SIU. And then you have North Dakota State coming into town. That doesn't suit them very well. The quarterback position is interesting to me. As you mentioned, redshirt freshman coming in. He's only 50% on his passes, 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. That doesn't help them either. No. They can run the ball pretty well by their standards. I mean, they're not one of the top teams in the Missouri Valley Conference, but they're moving the ball on the ground okay. 11 rushing touchdowns at about 180 yards per game. But this is one of the top defenses against the rush this year in North Dakota State. So there's not a lot in Indiana State's favor this week.
This is the 7th all-time meeting in Terre Haute. The Bison, the stat-wise on this, it's overwhelming. NDSU's outscored Indiana State 250 to 83 in 6 meetings in Terre Haute. They've scored 50 points 3 separate times. 2009, 2013, 2017, they reached half 100. Yeah. Now, the last time the Bison were there, back in 2022, that was a game. Indiana State actually had the lead in the 3rd quarter in a game. The Bison were messing around. They kept turning the ball over. That's how you keep a team in a game like this if you turn the football over, which, granted, the Bison have yet not done in 2025.
Right. I don't want to say the word, but his trap game, is that something?
Well, knowing what's looming, I think Polsick was hammering at that yesterday during the press conference.
You got to find, like he said too, you got to find an environment there because you don't get it on that side of the field. I haven't been there. I'm looking forward to go there and seeing what that's all about, but I imagine it's like a Murray State where it's
very similar.
Crickets on the other end of the field because all the fans are a mile away. I can't go into it lazy, and that doesn't seem to be like a team that Coach Polisick's going to bring in there just based off of how he's talked about practice over the last couple of weeks. But don't overlook them for a second because, they may not have the greatest season, but they have some stuff there that could be dangerous.
Yeah, and it's an environment that Bison have an hour bus trip. They fly into Indianapolis, and then we'll bus to Terre Haute on Saturday morning. That part is different as well. It's not just showing up and you're 15 minutes away from the stadium. There's a little bit to it to see. You got to get off the bus and know full well there isn't automatically some juice to the stadium. It just is not going to be the case.
It's not like stepping into the Fargo Dome with 15,000 people and your ears are ringing after the first couple of drives.
Or heck, the other road trips they've had. Charleston, obviously, is a season opener. You're already going to be juiced for that.
Yep.
Tennessee State was Nissan Stadium, so you're playing an NFL stadium. Then Illinois State, night game.
Good crowd there too. That's just not the feel you're going to get.
It's not going to be the case on Saturday. We'll take a break. We come back here on the BMZ. We'll get a look at Dave Richmond's Bison men's basketball team. They play their first game exhibition-wise coming up tomorrow. We'll preview that on the other side of the break. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. Back here on the Bison Media Zone, see a video of Dave Richmond's NDSU men's basketball team. They will play tomorrow night for the first time since 2011 against the University of Minnesota. Yeah, we're talking hoops, everybody. The exhibition season begins tomorrow night. You've had a chance to be up at practice. I have as well. There are 9 new guys on this roster. What do we expect out of the Bison men this upcoming year?
Well, first of all, I can't believe that we're already at this point of the year. It's crazy how fast everything's gone. I feel like when I go to practice, I need a roster with pictures because there's so many new guys, but they look impressive. Dave's preaching the fundamentals of defense this year, which is, that's a Dave thing to do. And I think these guys, it looks like from the practices that I've gone to, it looks like they've meshed together quickly. They've done a lot of things off the court to kind of build that team camaraderie, which is what you got to do in the new era of college athletics right now with new players coming in and out all the time. it looks like a physically impressive team.
So it sounds like starting five will either be Damari Wheeler-Thomas, who's back. People have to remember he redshirted last year with an injury, that he's fully healthy. We talked to DWT when we were down in Sioux Falls, or Andy Stefanowicz. And we saw Andy start the last couple of games of last season when Brennan Watkins was ineffective, and he was great. Stefanowicz was really good at the Summer League tournament. So, or they both could play at point guard on the at the same time. Tay Smith, the Lenore Rhine transfer, who's in his 6th year of college basketball. Travion Carson, who's a Des Moines Area Community College move-up guy. And Markai Strickland from Western Michigan will also start, and then Noah Federson in the middle.
That's not a bad lineup when you look at it on paper, to say the least. I'm curious how they transition. Some of these guys transition to the Division I level because
also any of the freshmen that play as well.
Exactly.
Riley Massey plays. Dom Clay looks really impressive.
Dom Clay does look pretty good. Saunders is in there as well. Riley Saunders in the mix there too. Is he going to get any playing time? It's an impressive group, but granted, they haven't played anybody. And I'm not going to take a bunch of stock in what happens tomorrow night against Minnesota. That's another team that's going through a lot of changes this year as well.
Coach there with Nico Medved.
Right. And Dave told me this, and I can definitely see it, that this is a group of guys where you're not going to get your Jackson Money or Jakari who's going to be putting up 30 a night. It may be one guy one day and then another guy the next day, or 4 guys 1 week. I think that's the kind of Bison team to expect.
Don't expect them to make 18 threes in a game either. I don't think that's going to be the story of this team. They're going to be better defensively as well. Remember, a week from tomorrow, they play MSUM. We'll have that game for you here on WDAY Extra. Back to football. Here are the Valley games going on this weekend. We mentioned the Bison are in Terre Haute. The game I'm looking forward to, honestly, is the game not only in Carbondale, but in Normal. Youngstown State, Illinois State potentially could be for a playoff, maybe seed down the road. Who wins this game?
Well, and I'm looking at North Dakota, Southern Illinois as well. I think those two games, definitely an opportunity for whoever wins to kind of separate themselves from the pack a little bit here. I think that North Dakota, Southern Illinois game could be an offensive explosion.
Maybe.
One that we were maybe expecting in Fargo and didn't get. I think we could get it in Carbondale this week. And Youngstown State, I know I've had them in my pick'ems to beat North Dakota last week, and it didn't work out, but I think that's a team that could do some damage as well.
Jackrabbits will be able to set the score for their game at Murray State, and we'll see what happens there in Cedar Falls with USD taking on Northern Iowa. A reminder, we're back with you 10 a.m. on Saturday morning for Bison Game Day to get you started from Terre Haute. Sam, myself, Jeff, and Kyle. The game is on WDAY. We hit the air at 11:50 with kickoff just after noon from vaunted Memorial Stadium, over 100 years old, to welcome in the Bison and the Sycamores, meeting for the 13th all-time matchup. NDSU takes an 11-1 record in. Their only loss, that infamous one in 2012 when Indiana State won in Fargo. So we'll look forward to what's going to be. Look, the weather right now, potential showers in the area, so that's something to keep an eye on for the game. About 75. It might be cold, so it's going to be a nice fall day, but we'll check on the weather. That'll do it for this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone. For Sam Getzinger, I'm Dom Izzo. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We're back with you next Wednesday at 10:30 here on WDAY Extra. We'll see everybody on Saturday.